Welcome to the Nevis Newscast for Monday, January 8th, 2018. I'm Fredicia Liebert. The 2018 proposed budget recommendations and capital expenditure was one of several matters discussed when the NIA's cabinet met with senior civil servants on January 4th. Premier the Honorable Mark Brantley raised the matter as Minister of Finance.
We're trying to restrain excesses. And particularly on the capital side of the budget, it's important that we have the necessary controls in place. And so we have said, and will continue to say, that capital projects in excess of $200,000 must come to the cabinet for approval. So we no longer want heads or PSs to simply say, go ahead, awarding contracts. If it comes to $200,000 or over, we want it to come to the cabinet. We want to see the details so that we can have an understanding and make a decision in relation to that.
As Premier Brantley stated, there is the need for greater accountability.
We have some areas where all of us in the various ministries want to do various things. We're asking, again, because the Ministry of Finance has complained bitterly about it, that the costing of those things and the source of funding, that those be worked out in advance of you telling a contractor, go ahead and break down the building. Go ahead and start the road. Go ahead and do whatever. We need to ensure that we do things properly so as to have greater accountability in terms of our fiscal management of the public purse.
According to the Premier, the Nevis Island administration is holding budget discussions this week as there have been some reconfiguration of some ministries. The Honorable Spencer Brand, one of two new ministers in the NIA cabinet, says he intends to bring value to the various departments under his ministry. Brand is the Nevis Island Administration's Minister of Labour, Public Works, Physical Planning, Posts and the Environment.
I want to say to all of us that I would certainly do my best to make sure that I not only live up to the expectation of the cabinet, but also to the people of Nevis. For me, it's a new experience, and I would be certainly calling upon my PS, Dr. Stapleton, and my assistant PS, to give me some guidance along the way. I have some ideas, and I've said to them in my meetings, if they think that I'm chatting foolishness, don't be afraid to tell me. And I'm saying it here too as well. If you think that Spencer Brand is talking foolishness, if what he's saying is not making any sense, please tell me. Because my mission is to serve the people of Nevis and to make sure that at the end of the day, we as a government, we as civil servants, offer the best possible service to the people of Nevis.
Addressing a recent meeting between the NIA and senior civil servants, Brand highlighted two concerns: extended sick leave and frequent leave of absence.
Coming from the private sector, in my business and in my field, whether I am sick sometimes, I still have to go to work. I am not saying that if a person is sick, that they ought not to allow themselves to recuperate. But I think that the idea here is to try and discourage us from abusing the extended sick leave mechanism. And I believe also that the frequent leave of absence is something that is also creating some headache for the government, as persons might be also abusing that mechanism. Like I said, coming from the private sector, I really have to go to work. And I would hope that all of us can begin to appreciate that if you lose 1 or 2 days on the job, it can have a knock-on effect, so to speak, somewhere down the line.
The Honorable Spencer Brand is also the constituency representative for St. Paul's. Nevis's Deputy Premier, the Honorable Alexis Jeffers, while delivering remarks at a special meeting between the Cabinet of the Nevis Island Administration and members of the civil service, said that the discussions held should be a turning point in the mode of operation in the Nevis Island Administration.
Government should be run in such a way that we are the ambassadors, we are the examples that people look towards, and I believe for the next 5 years, the items that we are going to discuss this afternoon should be the roadmap or the blueprint that we use moving forward to ensure that we have a productive 5 years. I want us to look back to January the 4th and say that these discussions that we have had would have been the turning point in our way of conducting business as a government. And it's not difficult to do. All of us in here have that capacity to do what is right and to do what is good and to work towards something that we are trying to achieve as a government, and that is to ensure that the entire Nevision public are proud of us when we're all said and done 5 years from now and moving forward.
Minister Jeffers also stated that one of the goals of the newly elected Nevis Island administration is to leave a positive mark on the island. He asked members of the civil service for their support.
But while we're here passing through, I believe it behooves us to leave something behind or to do something that we can be remembered by in a positive way. And we'll need your effort and your support in order to make that happen.
The meeting was held at the St. Paul's Anglican Church Hall on Thursday, 4th January 2018. Still to come,
Too many of our public servants take the slightest grievance to social media.
the details after this break.
As a fisherman, I use the marine resource wisely so I can conserve our biodiversity. So I can fish for life. It's all about balance.
I preserve biodiversity by the way that I farm. It takes care of my family. It's all about balance.
I have enjoyed these seas all my life. I do my best to conserve our biodiversity because I want my children and my grandchildren to enjoy them as much as I do. It's all about balance.
I'm a park ranger, and my job is to properly manage our protected areas and conserve our biodiversity. It's all about balance.
Youth, let's play a part in conserving our biodiversity and maintaining our natural resources. It's all about balance.
For life, for livelihood, for the future of St. Kitts and Nevis, let's all conserve our biodiversity and use our natural resources wisely. It's all about balance.
Taxes are the lifeblood of a nation. Feel good about what your tax dollars do in Nevis. As a responsible citizen, your tax dollars protect our environment. Pay your taxes on time. This message was brought to you by the Inland Revenue Department, Nevis.
Be a responsible citizen.
Welcome back. The Nevis Island administration will soon issue a policy in relation to social media use by public servants. That is according to Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Mark Brantley.
I have seen senior civil servants go on the rampage on social media against the peers, against ministers, against the government, frankly against whoever and whatever they're feeling. Some people say that it's freedom of expression. My response is that freedom of expression has never been free. And where much is given, and you have great freedom also comes with great responsibility. I am concerned, and I have expressed so publicly before, that too many of our public servants take the slightest grievance to social media.
Premier Brantley called on public servants to set the tone of professionalism with regard to their social media use.
Somehow, when people work for government, they feel that completely different standards apply. And that if there is a policy that the government has enunciated that you don't agree with, that you have the right to go on social media, bash the government, bash the policy, even though you may be called upon as a public servant to implement the policy. But so long as we're here in this space together for the next period of time, policies will be made, hopefully informed by you. And once those policies are enunciated, I would expect that the public service would carry out the policies and give effect to them. I have no difficulty with our public servants or anybody else engaging with social media, but I'm asking all of our people to set the right tone and to conduct themselves accordingly, and certainly not to do it or avoid doing it on government time.
Premier the Honorable Mark Brantley making remarks during a January 4th meeting between the NIA Cabinet and senior civil servants. Premier, the Honourable Mark Brantley, recently gave some words of advice to a number of persons who are seeking to become members of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force. The Premier was at the time making remarks as Minister responsible for security on Nevis at the Nevis Division's New Year celebration service at the Charlestown Police Station.
I see we have some young recruits here. I thank you for choosing policing as your career. And to say to you that, as you have heard time and time again, it's not just a paycheck. It's a calling. It's the ability to go above and beyond.
He admonished the new recruits to set a high standard as police officers.
Your every conduct, your every action is being watched and being assessed, and the very public that you wish to serve and the public that you want the confidence of will continue to look at you and see what you do. You may be out on the beach lineman, and as far as you're concerned, you're out with your girlfriend, with your wife, whoever. And as far as you're concerned, you're just having a good time. But believe me, you're being scrutinized. Maybe it's unfair, but that is the calling that you've chosen. And that is the reality, that the police, in your activities, even in your own private lives, you have to set such a high standard that the public looks up to you. And if the public respects you, as the divisional commander has said, that is a far greater tool in crime fighting than any gun or any vest or any car or any means of communication, if you have the respect of the community, where people feel comfortable that they can call you, they can have that level of conversation with you, they can confide in you, they can tell you what it is they've seen and heard. I believe that that ultimately is where we need to go.
Premier and Minister responsible for security on Nevis, the Honourable Mark Brantley. That's it for this edition of the Nevis Newscast. On behalf of all of us here at the Department of Information, I'm Fredicia Liebert. Thank you for viewing.